In the first quarter of 2026, three institutions that had kept their doors locked for decades opened them in the same month. The United States government opened the pharmaceutical gate, fast-tracking compounds that had been criminalized for 50 years. The Department of Defense opened the classification gate, proposing a $250 million facility to handle information most of the government isn't cleared to see. And the Vatican, the oldest gatekeeper on Earth, released its first doctrinal position on artificial intelligence, while clergy across 5 religions reported that psilocybin was among the most spiritually significant experiences of their lives. 3 gates, 3 institutions, same quarter. The question is not what they opened. The question is who opened them and why now. On April 18, 2026, the President of the United States signed an executive order titled Accelerating Medical Treatments for Serious Mental Illness. At the signing table beside him was Joe Rogan, a podcaster, at a presidential signing for psychedelic drugs. 3 weeks earlier, Rogan had texted the president a single statistic: 80,000 Americans died of drug overdoses in 2024. He followed it with a podcast episode featuring the governor of Texas and the CEO of Americans for Ibogaine. The executive order followed. The order directed 3 things. First, the FDA commissioner would issue national priority vouchers to psychedelic compounds with breakthrough therapy designation, compressing review timelines from years to months. Second, $50 million through ARPA-H would fund federal-state collaboration on psychedelic research. Third, the Attorney General would initiate rescheduling reviews for any compound that completed Phase 3 trials. 6 days later, the FDA acted. 3 companies received the first priority vouchers ever issued for psychedelic treatments: Compass Pathways, synthetic psilocybin for treatment-resistant depression; Uzona Institute, psilocybin for major depressive disorder; Transcend Therapeutics, methadone for PTSD. 60-day review windows, not years. Days, the DEA had already moved. In January, the final rule for 2026 production quotas raised psilocybin to 50,000 grams, up 67% from the previous year. 5-MeO-DMT jumped to 30,000 grams, up 173%. Methadone went from 5,200 grams to 30,000, a 477% increase. Right to try access expanded. Patients with life-threatening conditions who had completed Phase 1 trials could now access experimental psychedelics under federal law, including Ibogaine, a compound used for decades in West African spiritual practice that shows remarkable efficacy for opioid addiction. 50 years. From 1970, when Richard Nixon declared the war on drugs and classified psilocybin as Schedule 1, no accepted medical use, high potential for abuse, to 2026, when the president signed an order accelerating its approval with a podcaster at his side. The pharmaceutical gate didn't crack. It was opened from inside the institution that locked it. On April 24, 2026, 6 days after the psychedelics order, the Space Force proposed a $250 million facility at Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota. 180,000 square feet, 3 stories. A sensitive compartmented information facility, a SIF, designed to house missile warning operations, missile tracking, and something called the Space Data Network. It includes a 500-person auditorium for classified briefings and a dining facility for 24/7 operations. More than 100 Space Force and National Reconnaissance Office personnel across 2 to 3 squadrons. This is not a building. It is an institution designed to process information that most of the United States government is not authorized to see. The Space Force budget for fiscal year 2026, $26.3 billion in core appropriations. Add $13.8 billion in reconciliation funding, largely for the Golden Dome layered missile defense architecture. Total spending authority, approximately $40 billion, nearly double the 5-year baseline. In 2023, the Space Force chief said the quiet part loud. He described a substantial full-spectrum classified capability that would be operational by 2026. Full spectrum means offensive and defensive. space operations that the public has never been briefed on. They did declassify one program, Silent Barker, a constellation of satellites launched in September 2023, designed to watch other satellites in geosynchronous orbit 22,000 miles above Earth. A watchdog in the highest orbit, intentionally disclosed to deter hostile behavior in space. But notice the pattern. They reveal the watchdog. They keep the weapons classified. The gate opens, but only wide enough to show you the fence behind it. And then there is the question that keeps appearing at the edge of every Space Force briefing. In 2023, David Grush, a former intelligence officer, testified before Congress that the United States has operated a multi-decade program to retrieve and reverse engineer unidentified aerial phenomena. He claimed non-human biologics had been recovered. He was appointed Special Advisor on Transparency and Declassification in March 2025. He stated the president has been fully briefed. The Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARO, says it has found no empirical evidence of extraterrestrial technology. But the classification gate is opening. And what's behind it may be larger than anyone in the briefing room is authorized to say. On January 28, 2025, the Vatican released a document titled Antiqua et Nova, Ancient and New, a note on the relationship between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. It was the first official doctrinal position from the Catholic Church on AI. The document was precise. The very use of the word intelligence in connection with AI, it said, can prove misleading. AI is a product of human intelligence, not artificial intelligence. The distinction matters because the Vatican is the oldest institution on Earth that claims authority over the nature of consciousness, the soul, and what it means to be aware. Pope Leo XIV went further. He called AI chatbots marketed as emotional companions an empty, cold shell. He said it was very difficult to discover the presence of God in artificial intelligence. He directed priests not to use AI to write homilies. To give a true homily, he said, is to share faith. AI will never be able to share faith. But while the Vatican was drawing its line, declaring AI a tool, not a mind, something else was happening in the space between religion and chemistry. In 2025, the results of the first major study of psychedelics among multi-faith clergy were published. 4 rabbis, a Catholic priest, Protestant ministers, a Muslim leader. They were given psilocybin in controlled sessions. 79% reported that the experience enriched their prayer, their sense of the sacred, their spiritual efficacy. 96% rated the psilocybin sessions among the top 5 most spiritually significant experiences of their entire lives. Clergy, people who have spent decades cultivating connection to the divine through prayer, ritual, and discipline. And 96% of them said a molecule did what decades of practice had been reaching for. Rabbi Zach Kamenetz founded an organization serving Jewish communities interested in psychedelics. Reverend Hunt Priest founded a Christian psychedelic organization. Sugra Ahmed, a Muslim leader, founded a bridge organization for Islamic communities. In May 2025, the Gaia Church in Spokane, Washington, received the first DEA religious exemption for ayahuasca ceremonies. The religious gate is not opening from the Vatican. It is opening from the congregations, from the clergy themselves, from the people who went through the door and came back saying, "This is what we've been praying for." 3 institutions, 3 gates. The government that criminalized consciousness opened the pharmaceutical door. The military that classified the sky proposed a building to handle what it found there. The church that claimed authority over the soul watched its own clergy report that a molecule delivered what prayer had promised. Same quarter, April 2026. The question is not whether the gates are opening, you can see the light. The question is whether what comes through them was always there, waiting on the other side, or whether the act of opening the gate is what creates what's behind it. Next episode, the settlement, XRP, RLust, CBDC. The financial meter doesn't just crack, it gets replaced.